So let us do some tweets.
Why do we have to begin with Truth Social?
Starting with Truth Social.
Tweets at home.
Donald J. Trump says MSNBC, MSDNC uses free government-approved airwaves, and yet it is nothing but a 24-hour hit job on Donald J. Trump and the Republican Party for purposes of election interference. Brian Roberts, its chairman and CEO, is a slimeball who has been able to get away with these constant attacks for years. It is the world's biggest political contribution to the radical left Democrats who, by the way, are destroying our country. Our so-called government should come down hard on them and make them pay for their illegal political activity. Much more to come. Watch. So, this is Donald Trump saying he's a fascist who would use his political power to control the media.
What's funny is that one of Umberto Eco's steps of fascism, one of their traits for fascism was state-controlled media.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there for anybody who wants to read it.
He's literally sitting here saying, I am a fascist who wants to control the media. I wish the government controlled the media to make sure that the government could only, the media could only put out messages that the government approves. It's literally what he's saying here. So talk to me in 2016. Okay, I was in a weird spot in 2016 where I was still kind of conservative leaning. So if you talked to me in 2016, I would have been like, nah, you're being hyperbolic. The guy's not really fascist. Like that's overblown fear-mongering stuff or whatever. It's like, no, after 4 years of his administration, plus what he's done since then, it's like, no, he actually wants to be a fascist. It's just that, a few key people were able to, say, no, I can't do that. And if it wasn't for those few key people, he would have, he would have gotten away with his coup. He could have, potentially actually overthrown the government. And I'm not saying these few key people were actually being brave, because most of them are complete shitbags who were perfectly happy to go along with the ride as long as it was enriching them. But as soon as it looked like it wasn't going to be in their best interest, they were like, no, I should probably pretend like I have principles now so that I can, still have a career after this.
Yeah, play along for as long as you can.
There's no guarantee that those people are still going to be there if he gets elected again. So, I am honestly a little bit scared that if Trump gets elected again, the States is not going to be a democracy anymore. I would have thought that was hyperbolic fear-mongering in 2016, but, now, it's no, it kind of tracks. He, already incited an insurrection. It's what if he actually gets competent people to do his bidding this time?
This is one of the reasons why years ago I did a video called "Is Trump a Fascist?" and I took Umberto.
I remember that video.
I took Umberto Eco's description of fascism and another author's description of fascism. Umberto's is much more academic. The other one was more bloggy, but it's the one that gets shared around all the time. People are like, this is what fascism is. It's these 10 things. Lawrence something, I can't remember his name. I believe it started with a K. And I was like, hey, let's go ahead and juxtapose Trump to both of these, because maybe he'll be fascist to the blog post, but he's not fascist to the more stringent academic level. No, he just happens to have 8 of 10 on both. Okay, cool. That's probably a fascist.
Van Briggs 333 says Lawrence W. Britt.
Okay, Lawrence W. Britt. I could not remember because I've done that video, I think it was 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I remember it.
So we
Yeah, and like I said, I was right on board with people being like, you're overblowing it. I actually made a fucking video that I unlisted because I'm so ashamed of it. That was this is back when I was watching a lot of anti-feminist YouTube stuff. Mm-hmm. And I kind of I wasn't fully on board with it, but I was leaning towards it. And so I actually made a video that my whole purpose in making it was to try and capitalize on the trend. Like, is everybody's talking about Donald Trump? How do I tie it into my channel where I talk about creationists? And I made a video called Open Letter to Feminists, which was talking about how, like, it's not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. He's just going to be a bad president for 4 years, and then we'll elect someone else. It's like, yeah, no, I don't like Donald Trump either, but, like, grow up. And like, looking back on that now, I'm just like, oh, I was such a fucking idiot. And so, like, if you happen to be one of the few people that, like, actually has the link to that video, you can go watch that and see how much I've changed since then. Because, like, I'm so ashamed of that fucking video.
I wouldn't be
like, I haven't taken it down completely because I do want there to be a record of, like, hey, minds do change. Look at what a shitbag I was back then. But, like, I don't want it to be public and, like, with people.
You don't want it representing you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. I wouldn't beat yourself up over it, because all of us have had our own.
Yeah, no, I had, this was part of my journey out of religion. Was like, when I was in religion, I was kind of like, I was like, I went through this whole process where, like, in high school, I was like, I would actually have called myself a communist in high school. And then I was like, oh no, wait a minute. I kind of fell in with the right wing evangelical crowd.
You pendulum swung.
Yeah. And then once I was out of that, I was like, oh no, I actually do care about people. And it turns out that, like, if you care about people, libertarianism and that sort of bullshit mindset doesn't work. And so, like, I have legitimately been on both sides of the argument. And I can say that, like, the data is on the liberal side. It just works better for everybody. Anyway.
Donald J. Trump, everybody.
Yeah, that's Trump. This one's hilarious. Victor says, do you really believe a woman can play man chess professionally?
What is man chess?
I don't fucking know what man chess is.
Wait,
what the fuck is man chess?
Man chess is when you take a little bit of glue, like glue stick glue, stuff you can just, like, adhere repeatedly. You put it at the tip of your dick, and you use that to lift and control the chess pieces. And the first person to either pee on the board or make all of the or make the pieces fall on the board because they don't know how to control their dick loses. That's man chess.
So this was on Threads. The way I found this one was actually, I forget who it was, but someone, like, retweeted this or rethreaded this, I guess. Saying,
sounds like
like,
you're stitching.
Yeah, sure. They said man chess is when the pieces are made of 100% pure tungsten, or like 50 pounds each, and you've got electrodes wired into your balls, and you get electric shock if you take more than 20 seconds to move. So, yeah.
Oh God.
I don't know. It's just, and like, like this was part of a, this was, Fennec is asking, have I seen the movie Queen of Catway? No, I have not. But this was part of a larger thread that started with, like, apparently the transphobes are now saying that men have an advantage over women in the sport of darts.
I saw that.
How would that even work? Like,
you see, the throwing arm and
darts,
the ability to calculate in math it's a very man thing.
Okay, no, darts is a dexterity sport. And if anything, women have the advantage in dexterity sports. Like,
no, we have to say that the women are very they don't have an advantage in anything. Men am good at sports. Men am good at grill. Men am good at hunt gorilla.
Tasha,
women am good at sandwich.
Tasha says chess skill is stored in the balls.
Jesus.
And apparently the Queen of Catway is really, really good and related to women playing chess. So
testicles are stored in the balls.
Here's the thing. I would have to convince my partner to watch that with me as well. And I feel like chess movie is not going to do it for her. Because the thing is, I don't really watch TV or movies by myself. For me, that's like a bonding experience. Like, if I'm not cuddling someone, I don't watch it.
So the only way I can get you to watch Yu-Gi-Oh with me is if I cuddle you. Got it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Damn.
And we can probably live stream that and make some money off that. It's like the Rhino and Suris cuddle stream.
Just can't have it showing like the actual show, because then we'll get copyright hit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've found that like like the Doctor Who thing. I actually had to make an effort to watch the newest. It's like I haven't seen a single thing of Doctor Who since my wife died, because that was something that we watched together, and I just don't watch TV when I'm by myself. And so like I actually had to make an effort. There was one night when my partner had like she had homework to do or something. I was like, okay, well, how long is it going to take you to do your homework? Because like I don't actually have any of my work to do tonight. It's like, do I have time to watch the new Doctor Who episodes? And like I haven't seen the last season before that, so like I might have missed some stuff. But like it's the same thing. Like I watched Ahsoka when she was gone for like she went to visit her mother for a few days, and that was when I watched Ahsoka. But like I had to like make a conscious effort, like, oh yeah, there was a Star Wars show that I wanted to see that I think like looked like it had promise, so like I'm going to make an effort to what, like I have to put conscious effort into it rather than just being like, oh, let's just watch the show.
I have to be a horrible person and run to the restroom for 10 seconds.
How dare you?
How dare I? It's awful. I'll never do it again.
Yeah. Chess is where the king has the uber movement and the queen can't do shit and takes up the same space as the rook. No, chess says the queen rocks. Queen fucking kicks ass. Fennec says, Suris and Vice Rhino cuddle party. Like, yeah, if Suris comes up here, if I go down there, sure, we can live stream a cuddle party. I'm sure Suris would be on board for that. Tisha says, I liked that season, but at best I'd call the most recent season of Doctor Who mid. Yeah, I mean, mid is better than that Capaldi season that had the moon egg thing. Like the moon egg was like the most egregious episode, but like that whole season was kind of meh. But like Capaldi was great. I loved Capaldi as the Doctor, but like the material he was working with was not good. Like Stephen Moffat, not a great showrunner. Haven't yet gotten past the first Doctor. Now, when you say the first Doctor, are you talking about William Hartnell? Like 1960s Doctor? Because yeah, no, those episodes are hard to watch. Sirius is back.
I live again.
So as I would tell my kids in this situation, that was way too quick. Did you wash your hands?
Yes.
Are you sure? Did you scrub for 20 seconds? Did you scrub while singing the ABCs?
God damn it.
I'm sorry. I have 5 children, and 2 of them are under the age of 6. So,
understandable.
Like there's snot on every surface of my house right now.
So unironically, I have to wash my hands way more often than I normally would be comfortable with because I'm allergic to all of my fucking animals.
Axolotl with cream. Axolotl with cream says, Suris, go clean your piss hands.
The hammer's real, motherfuckers.
Okay, next tweet comes to us from white supremacist Charlie Kirk.
Who is this? I can't see his face.
This is Charlie Kirk. He's a white supremacist.
But I can't see his face.
I actually, so
it's so small.
Fun fact, before I saw this, I would have not said conclusively that Charlie Kirk is a white supremacist, but this tweet kind of clenched it for me. He says, you're not being kind, you're not being tolerant, you're not being enlightened, you're not being compassionate. You're being invaded, you're being used, you're being taken advantage of, you're being replaced. So like, this is just him straight up advocating for the great replacement conspiracy bullshit.
Yep. God. So how much Charlie Kirk have you watched?
I'm going to say none. I don't actually watch these people. I just look at their tweets.
Okay, fair enough. I've seen at least a few hours of Charlie Kirk content.
I'm so sorry.
I've picked the wrong career is what I'm saying. But...
ooh. People are talking about the GTA trailer. Apparently, because like I've seen people on Twitter freaking out because like apparently the main character lady looks like she might be trans.
Even Tim Pool called shit on that.
Did he?
Yes. Like it when even Tim Pool is going, I think the right's gone too far. You've probably pushed things a little too stupid. You're too stupid for the man who gets his brain suffocated by a beanie.
Yeah. Oh, Jassa says my sister thinks Kirk is smart. I hope you're talking about Captain Kirk and not Charlie Kirk, because Captain Kirk is, I wouldn't, maybe not smart, but like...
I wouldn't, he resorts to violence really fast.
He does. Resourceful would be something that I would say that he is.
Resourceful because he gets himself into stupid situations. So like I haven't seen
the
original
1970. You haven't seen the original series?
So I haven't seen the original series, but I have a lot of friends who are Trekkies who will send me clips, especially of him fighting a guy in a suit looking like a reptile monster.
Gorn. It's a Gorn, Suris. Come on.
So my impression of Kirk is hot-blooded idiot who knows how to weasel himself out of bad situations.
Yeah. So my partner actually doesn't really like Star Trek, but she did enjoy Strange New Worlds. But when like they were making such a big deal about the Gorn in Strange New Worlds and about how scary they are and how like they're like these killing machines or whatever. And so like after we watched the episodes where they're all scary and shit, I had to show her the original, like the first ever appearance of a Gorn on screen. And it's just like, that's the thing that they're saying is really, really scary. And it's just completely ridiculous. And it's fun. But yeah, no, she likes New Trek. And this is where like, I know there's a lot of criticism of New Trek and some of it is warranted. Like it's not perfect. But like, she doesn't like classic Trek, but she loves Strange New World. I love classic Trek, and I love Strange New Worlds. So like, I feel like New Trek is a way to bring people kind of into the fold.
And then they go, I want to see where it began.
Yeah, and not even that, but it's like it's a way that we can bond over a similar thing where like even if it's not like yeah, sure, New Trek is very different from 90s Trek, and I would argue that that's a good thing because Rick Berman was a fucking idiot. Like 90s Trek succeeded in spite of Rick Berman, not because of Rick Berman, even though Rick Berman like ran everything. Like I don't know how familiar you are with the lore, but like Rick Berman was the guy who said like, no, we can't have any gay representation, like we can't even hint at gay relationships in Star Trek because the networks won't have it, despite the fact that there were like regular gay characters showing up on TV shows as early as the 70s. And like, Jonathan Frakes, guy who played Will Riker, there was an episode where he fell in love with a non-binary character who is like from an alien species who has 3 sexes, one of which is like a neuter sex. He fell in love with one of these characters from the neuter sex, and Jonathan Frakes advocated for that character to be played by a man so that it could be like, yes, it's still a neuter sex, but when we kiss on screen, it's 2 men kissing. Because like, yeah, I know, like, and it's this whole thing where it's like, that's not really gay representation, but it's like a step in that direction.
It's them tiptoeing it as best they can.
Yeah. And Rick Berman kiboshed that and said, no, it's going to be played by a woman.
Okay.
Is that Growlithe? Hi, Growlithe.
No, Growlithe is
the one making the noise.
Growlithe is outside right now barking at a coyote, and this is Chip. Chip prefers being inside. Growlithe prefers being outside. So sometimes I can get them both in the same place, and oftentimes it's like this.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm misremembering. Fennec is saying that species only had one sex/gender. Having a gender was seen as abnormal. So yeah, I misremembered that. That was it. I haven't seen that episode in a long, long time. Is this the last tweet? If not, we might get to 10. This is not the last tweet. Benny Johnson or John Soar?
Benny Johnson?
I thought it was Johnson, but I'm seeing that as an R now, so maybe it's Benny John Soar. Says, breaking, Jim Jordan and Rep Loudermilk of Judiciary GOP launching inquiry into Fanny Willis colluding with January 6th committee and release a letter showing coordination between her office and the committee. I read the letter. Can you guess what it is?
My brain's getting short-circuited by Growlithe right now, so I couldn't even fathom.
So
Unfortunately.
basically, Fanny Willis is investigating Trump for potential criminal activities. The January 6th committee was investigating Trump for potential criminal activities. So Fanny Willis wrote a letter to the January 6th committee saying, hey, I noticed that you have turned up some evidence that might be relevant to my investigation. Let's share some information.
I need to let her in. She's...
Okay, off you go. Suris is just not committed to these streams anymore. He just keeps on disappearing. Like ever since he stopped using his Catgirl avatar, he just like walks off the stream regularly to like shit and let his dogs in. Hi, Dino Botful. You chose an unfortunate time to join the stream. Although the beginning of the stream was an unfortunate time too, because I did open with I have swamp ass. So there really is no good time to join a stream between me and Suris. Welcome back, Suris.
I don't know what she was barking at, but she ran in and immediately ran to the den and plopped up on the couch and laid down.
She just wanted inside.
I guess.
Yeah, so this is basically someone that was investigating crimes committed by Donald Trump, messaged another person investigating crimes committed by Donald Trump and was like, hey, I see that you've turned up some stuff that might be relevant to my investigation. Maybe we should share some information.
And so they're trying to say that this is
saying,
colluding.
Like, that's collusion. Collusion is bad because they accuse Trump of colluding with people, like
this
colluding with Russia.
This is like saying that the FBI found a thing and that information's relevant to like your local law enforcement. Yeah, like, it's collusion.
Yeah, like if the FBI coordinates something with the DOJ, that's not a bad thing. That's just cooperating with an investigation.
Yeah, that's just how we do that shit. That's how we figure out.
But they know that Trump was accused of collusion with Russia, and so they think collusion is just automatically a bad thing. You're like, no, collusion between different departments of justice, like different departments responsible for the administration of justice, that's just how it works. Like, if you committed crimes, that could get you indicted in multiple places. Those multiple places are all going to be like, hey, can we have the evidence of those crimes?
Yep. So
like these people just don't know how it works.
Well, they live in their own separate reality.
Then Megan Basham says, renting the wombs of women to supply babies to intrinsically unfruitful gay unions should forever shut the mouths of those who insist that legitimizing gay marriage has no impact on anyone else. It is to its core disruptive of the essential building block of civilization. Now, even many conservatives do not understand this. Understand, Christian, that is what time it is.
She stole that from Michael Knowles.
Sure.
Michael Knowles did a video on that literally a day before she posted this.
Okay.
And those are the exact words that Michael used in his video.
Wow.
That's cool. Okay. I'm glad to see that shit twice.
But that's the thing though, is that like, okay, the renting of wombs to women to supply babies, like paying people to be a surrogate.
It's very reductive of what surrogacy is.
Yeah, surrogacy is a complicated issue. There are some problems with it. It's not a perfect system, but like, it's not just gay couples that do that. It's also infertile straight couples.
No, so in the Michael Knowles video, when he was going over it, he specifically said, there are other people who use this, but I want to focus on the gay men.
Yeah, of course you do, because you're a fucking homophobe.
3 or 4 times he had to say, I want to focus on the gay men specifically. And I just sat there going like, so what about a cis couple that's infertile? Because the last time I remember having that conversation, the person I was talking with, Mike Winger, just had to go, that's different.
Why?
No, the fuck it's not. It's the same different? Shit.
Yeah, no. Renting someone's, like paying someone for surrogacy, that does have issues. But like, it's not inherent to whether the couple that's paying them is gay or straight. It does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
And Senshini says, understand, Christian, that's what time it is. What does that even mean? I think that's a reference to like the doomsday clock thing, where like every now and then you get those scientists that like get up and be like, ooh, we are like 1 minute to midnight now, in an attempt to like get people to pay attention to something like climate change or nuclear proliferation.
They're trying to say that it is the time for action is now because we've hit a point of no return, and this is our evidence that we've hit a point of no return. Is what the best I can glean from that. I'm not versed enough. I am 15 years divorced from young Earth creation, conservative Christendom, so I'm not perfectly versed in the language anymore.
Yeah. So Dr. Scott Sullivan says those who assert something can come into existence without a cause need ridicule, not an argument. Who asserts that? I don't know of anyone who asserts that.
Yeah, last I checked, when we talk about the singularity, it kind of was just always there is the best we have, right?
Yeah, and like, in my experience, every response to the Kalam cosmological argument, which, if you're not familiar, that's the one where it's like, everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Every single response to that that's not from a Christian is like, yeah, okay, the universe has a cause. So let's investigate that fucking cause. It looks like it's not a fucking god.
Yep. No, not to mention that the Kalam was also not even built for Craig's god.
It was built just to get away from the special pleading required by the original cosmological argument.
Yeah.
Because the original cosmological argument is basically like, you know, I define God this way, therefore God exists. Like it was defining God into existence based on stuff exists.
Spoiler alert, we've heard this argument 12 billion times because William Lane Craig won't shut up about it.
Yeah, no, and the Kalam cosmological argument, I agree that it is a sound argument.
Doesn't make it valid.
I would agree that it's a valid argument.
Just that you can't point it to a specific cause.
That's the thing, is that like it just says like things that exist require a cause. Great. I agree. What's the fucking cause? God? Why? Because reasons. That's not good enough.
But the reasons are in the Bible, don't you know?
See,
Jesus died for them.
The people that say that God didn't do it have a bunch of fucking math backing them up. The people who say that God did it have a bunch of fucking sophistry backing them up. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to trust the guys that use math instead of the guys who use word games.
They're not using word games. What are you talking about? They're very trustworthy. They've just... They talk about church all the time.
I'm talking about the reason I have never covered William Lane Craig directly on my channel is because you have to work so fucking hard to decode what he's saying. And when you finally do that, it turns out he has said nothing. That is why I've never covered William Lane Craig, because like, that's a lot of work to be like, oh, he actually didn't say anything.
I don't remember if I have covered him.
I know Zod has covered him in a guest video on my channel, and
that's because Zod has a whole series based around him.
Yeah, Zod kind of specializes in it. But I have also like I've covered some videos that are on the Reasonable Faith channel that are like his bread and butter kind of thing, but it's like made more approachable. But like I don't cover Craig directly because he uses a lot of big complicated words and topics that I'd have to spend a lot of time explaining to say nothing, literally nothing.
I just find him boring.
That too.
I'm gonna be honest. I just think he's boring, and it's very hard for me to pay attention long enough to debunk him because I find him boring. That's why I have a bunch of tweets from Cameron that I wanted to go over, and I didn't end up getting to it for computer explode reasons. I find him boring. And it's hard for me to want to respond to somebody when the things they are saying are so thoroughly uninteresting. Oh,
that's one thing. I'm working on a video now. It's a video listicle, basically, which like things that I think don't make sense about Christianity. And in one of the things I reference an article on Capturing Christianity's website, where it talks about the response to the argument for divine, like the argument against God from divine hiddenness. It's a response to that. And as their response, they're basically like, well, you know, if you define love in the way that the people that use the divine hiddenness thing define love, then yeah, it's a valid argument. But like, that's not how God defines love. God can be a selfish dick who works for his own ends at the expense of our well-being.
It's because
And that can
God's
still
a gay.
count as
I mean,
love.
agape.
Yes, it's just wild. They just like flat out be like, yeah, no, God's love sucks from our perspective because he's working for his own ends. It's like, okay,
His ends are more important than our ends.
That kind of works toward like that kind of works in favor of my saying that this doesn't make any sense. Also, his website was down today. Like, I don't know why, but it just made me chuckle a little bit. So, like, I had to access this website through
Archive.
Yeah, the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, I think it's literally just called Internet Archive now, though, isn't it?
I still call it Wayback.
Fair.
Anyway, that one is the last tweet. So we did indeed get to 10:30. Yay, long stream.
I like it when streams are long. I mean, what?
Oh, someone sent something. Oh, gifted subscription. Someone whose name is bouncing around faster than I can read it gifted someone else whose name is bouncing around faster than I
Ravalern gifted Axo. Axolotls with cream.
Axolotl.
I recognize them because they're viewers of my stream, so I brain putting letters together quickly.
Yeah, that's I mean, I have 27 viewers right now on Twitch. That's like the most I've ever had. So the fact that your stream is down is good for me.
Well, I'm happy that my misfortune has worked out in your favor.
You should try it more often.
I should try it more often.
Go to Suris's Patreon because he's fucking amazing.
I have to.
What's your Patreon? Tell me your Patreon.
I don't know my Patreon link.
Patreon.com/something.
Hold on.
Suris. Patreon.com/fuck Suris in the ass.
It's /Suris Skeptic.
There we go. Patreon.com/Suris Skeptic.
You don't have to do that. Brain, why did my brain just misfire? I had a thought and it just disappeared.
ADHD. I'm diagnosing you now. This is your official diagnosis.
I went on a tangent on stream today about like, hey guys, I have a question. How many times have I told you that I'm starting a project and then I get 1 or 2 episodes out of that project and then it disappears and for no reason and we just have no idea why it's there? Neither do I.
It's been like 4 years. No, it's been like 2 or 3 years since my last Evidence for Evolution series video, and I said I was going to continue that series.
I need to do another Dangers of Woo video. I need to do another Anime Exposed video. I have like 11 episodes in both of them, and they just haven't. So I don't know what's wrong.
There are people in my chat being like, Suris, let people love you. All right, so in my video that I'm working on now, it's a listicle video, which are the 10 reasons why I think Christianity doesn't make sense. In one of the things about hell and how it doesn't make sense as a punishment because like good people get the same punishment as Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
I like try and promote myself as being a good person. So I describe things like I raised $72,000 for charity and I did this and I did that. And it's like, it was super uncomfortable for me to write good things about myself. Cause like I've always had self-esteem issues where like, no, I can't be that good. And so like to write a paragraph where I'm like, no, I'm actually fucking great. It's like, oh, that doesn't, I don't, no, that feels wrong.
It feels skeezy.
Yes, it does.
It feels, because it's like when somebody tells me like, hey, your streams are really good. And like, I talked at a camera. I read an article and I gave my opinion on it. That anybody can do that. What are you talking about?
So Dark Excalibur 42 says, so you guys should trade on those scripts. Make Suris say the nice things about you and you say the nice things about Suris. The problem with that is apparently a lot of people think our voices sound alike, so it would just come off as the same way either way. But also like from a therapeutic perspective, because I have self-esteem issues, it would be good for me to say these things out loud myself about myself. So that like when someone else says it to me, I might actually be able to believe that.
You can associate it with you writing it out yourself.
Yeah. Because like my partner tells me all the time, like, oh, you're such an amazing person and you're so sexy and you're great and everything. I'm just like, I'm not sure that I believe you.
That's how I am.
And it's
I get told things I've done, and in my brain, they were automatic things that I just felt needed to happen at the time. And then later, people are like, "Hey, that had impact on me," and how? How?
No, that's one of the key things in my little paragraph that I have is like, I keep getting messages from people that are like, your videos mean so much to me. Like, I'm an atheist living in a very heavily religious area, and you make me feel like I'm not alone. I'm an LGBTQ person living somewhere where I'm not accepted for who I am, and you make me feel like I have a place. And I'm just like,
I just made videos and I put them on the internet.
I'm just like following my hyper-focus, man. Like, I'm so fucking happy that other people are finding value in what I'm doing. But it's like, it's just like, I don't know. I have a hard time with the idea that like I'm actually bringing anything to the table other than like, hey, you belong here.
Yeah, if it's, I get it. It goes back to the whole like the Illuminati conversation we had from before, where you look at other people's work and you go, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do this as good as this is.
I'm doing that with H Bomber Man right now.
It's like I wish I could produce this, and then you realize, oh, the scenario that allowed that to be produced is completely different than the scenario you're in. And in some cases it's that person is abusive, or that person is exploitative, or that person is stealing. In some cases, you're like, oh, that's why they're able to produce at such a rapid rate with everything. Like they are doing what takes me a week to do. Because my last Dangers of Who episode, I think, was the last video that I made in a very edited style, either that or the Jordan Peterson conservative video, but okay. Both of those videos took several days.
So I have to say, we're getting a lot of love pouring out from people right now. Like Van Briggs 333 is saying, "Dear VR and Suris, you both are very helpful to people like myself. We all love you." Sanchini has been like, "Suris and Pelagia made me search for primary sources more often." Vice Rhino, I'm sure if you spend 12 months on one video, you could make a 4-hour H-bomb. Okay, fair point. He spends a lot more time on his videos than I do.
Yeah, he can afford to, though, is the other thing.
All these people are like writing super nice, positive messages about both of us right now. And then we get to Mark Fernkopf, who says, "And now my girlfriend has found DDLG Playground." Thank you, Suris. Thank you, sir. And Dark Falcon says, "Thank you, Suris, for pointing me to DDLG Playground." It's like, hey, if we can bring fulfillment to your life, we are perfectly happy. And if DDLG Playground is what does that for you, use coupon code Suris.
Just make
and
sure.
And then if there's a place to put notes and be like, Vice Rhino helped with the sale, please sponsor him as well.
Jesus Christ. I'll send I do need to send that email and be like, hey, is there a way to get another?
I am fucking joking about that. Like,
I can't tell.
No, like if they've entered the sponsorship program, I'm not going to expect you to be like, hey, no, you need to revive it just for my friend.
Revive it for this other content creator. He'll bring the furries, trust me.
Yeah, I do bring the furries, don't I?
Your avatar brings all the furries to the yard.
Okay, so I think that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for your heartwarming messages. They do help. I'm sure I speak for both of us to say it's really nice to see, and it does help with our imposter syndrome a little bit.
A little bit.
Although it'll never go away, really.
No, I've had the experience of being in a room with a bunch of other creators who I respect going, I don't deserve to be here. And I've had that experience like 5 separate times. It doesn't fucking go away.
No, it does not. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. Thanks everybody for watching, and as always, fuck off.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.